Viola Bennet. Chapter 21. River Crossing. With Nicole's help, and under the strict supervision of Elias' legal team, Viola secured a brief, tightly regulated visit with Elias. Elias looked haggard, his pale face stark against the drab walls. When he saw her, his eyes lit up with surprise and gratitude. "Viola, why are you here?" he breathed, disbelief and relief blending in his voice. "Because I couldn't stay away," she said softly, steadying her trembling hands. "You will be cleared, Elias. I promise." Elias's lips parted, a faint smile flickering through his exhaustion. "I can't tell you how much that means." But as Viola mentioned the security module, his expression stiffened, edged with professional anguish. "We need to talk about the security protocol," he said, his tone low and tense. "The Mars mission is my life's calling," Elias said, his voice hoarse but steady. "What they're asking for, the core security algorithm, it's the heart of everything we've built. If I give it away, I betray the very dream that created it." He was protecting the technology that was currently inspiring him. Viola slid the files that Carlos had provided across the table. "Look at this," she urged, her voice trembling with emotion. Elias scanned the files, warnings, waivers, and internal minutes detailing the bypass of EMC alerts. Relief softened his features. His shoulders eased, the tension in his jaw released for the first time in days. "Your system is safe," Viola whispered. "But silence isn't. If you hide the truth now, they'll destroy everything you've worked for. Let honesty be your shield. I need you safe, Elias, without sacrificing your reputation or your future," Viola said, emotionally. Elias stared at Viola, his emotions tangled and complex. He didn't respond to her words, but he knew that, whatever the outcome, Viola's courage and efforts had already saved him. After the visit, Viola didn't stop, alongside Elias's lead counsel, leveraged the evidence and her desperate plea to confront André. André, Elias's uncle, and also Sand's CEO and primary investor, initially opposed firmly. He paced his spacious office, vehemently arguing that surrendering the intelligent property would instantly destroy their competitive advantage and the integrity of the Mars rover project against rivals. "Unacceptable, Viola. You'd have us dismantle our own fortress." But as Viola spoke, calm, persuasive, relentless, his fury ebbed into silence. "We must find a better way. The total bail bond was secured, and we would first bail out Elias tomorrow," André said. The next day, Viola joined André to bail Elias out. The three of them drove immediately to André's secluded villa on Santa Catalina Island. The situation was dire. Elias needed absolute exoneration, and the sand projects needed to be unfrozen immediately to save the time-sensitive Mars mission. Viola placed the weight of the moral crisis squarely on André's shoulders. She spoke not as a friend, but as a clear-eyed strategist, appealing to André's deeply held affection for Elias and his faith in the pioneering spirit of human exploration. "The security module Elias and his team built is perfect, André. It was simply misunderstood and misused. If a perfect module can be safely adopted by experts and then by everyone, doesn't that become the ultimate proof of Elias's integrity and the company's reputation?" Viola leaned forward, her conviction ringing true. "André, I would say, the true advantage doesn't come from what has already been created, but from the minds that can create it further. Elias and his young team are those minds. The rover needs this system, and the security module is crucial, yes, but the world needs a secure system as well. Sacrificing a temporary competitive edge for Elias's freedom and for global trust in safe autonomous flight, that is the real value proposition." Andre, please. Viola pleaded, her voice trembling with sincerity. Elias wanted to speak, to argue, to insist, but he knew Viola's words carried the truth. All he could do was hope and hold his breath. Viola slid the tablet across the desk. The countdown for the Mars mission glared back, alongside fuel and security reports. The numbers left no doubt. Elias had to be cleared immediately, and the mission could not wait. Elias met Viola's eyes briefly, a silent nod passing between them. He trusted her, even as the weight of the situation pressed down on him. Andre stared at the tablet. The air in his office was thick with tension. The silence lasted for minutes. Each minute was like a century. The dwindling numbers and Viola's reasoning finally broke his resistance. He exhaled, nodded slowly, and gave the order. The intellectual property would be transferred, and Elias would be cleared once and for all. Well done. As the decision was finalized, relief washed over Viola. She embraced both men, tears threatening to spill, gratitude and exhaustion mingling in her heart. Andre smiled, the tension melting into warmth. "Girl, you're the kind of treasure no one should ever take for granted," he said. Then he turned to Elias with a gentler tone. "She's the reason we remembered what this company was built for. Progress, not possession." Elias nodded with a quiet laugh, looking at Viola, the girl he had always been in love with for all the right reasons. That evening, Viola and Elias walked along the quiet beach of the villa. The weight of the past days had lifted, leaving a calm clarity between them. Elias glanced at her, his chest tight with emotion, knowing this moment, finally, belonged to them. "I could never imagine you'd come here for me, do all this. It feels like a dream." He paused, emotion tightening his throat. "I'm proud of you, Viola," Elias said, allowing himself to take in her calm, radiant presence. "And I'm proud of you too, Elias," Viola replied, her voice trembling, tears brimming. "Seeing you in the news, it made me realize how lucky I once was to be loved by you." "Not once, Viola. It's always. You never lost my love, not for a second," Elias said, his eyes holding every year of longing and regret. "I heard everything you said on the phone, and you were right," he continued slowly, voice low and pained. "You asked if I truly loved you, and if I was just checking in on a convenient memory. That hurts more than anything. Because my love for you has always been my bedrock. But I handled it totally wrong." He paused for a second, then said with certainty, "You know, you have me, always, completely." "Why did you leave then? Why the silence? Why have you always vanished after every emotional moment?" Viola's eyes were glistening with unshed tears, her tone a mixture of confusion and expectation. Elias sighed, his own eyes moist too. He knew he had to be completely transparent. "Staying on the other side of the earth, I sometimes feel helpless in our relationship. I do want to fight for us, but I also believed that love meant respecting your freedom. Do you remember the story of Altair and Vega, the one we talked about on the beach in the Netherlands? I always believed that if we truly loved each other, a connection would always remain between us. And that kiss was not a farewell but a silent covenant. You can't imagine how much I've longed for you while I've been in America. But when I saw you with Javier, I thought your passion had to find its own path. When I saw you struggling in Switzerland, my logic and pride told me to step back, so you could make your choice freely, without any pressure from me. I was terrified of being the safe choice you might feel obliged to pick." He reached out and gently took her hand, no longer avoiding her gaze. "But David showed me how wrong I was. My silent love wasn't a noble act, it was cowardice. I was protecting myself from the pain of fighting, and in doing so, I made you doubt my love entirely. I wasn't giving you freedom, I was giving you silence. And silence is where love dies." Viola stared at him, feeling the genuine anguish and suppressed struggle of all those years. Tears were brimming in her eyes. He had finally broken through the barrier of his own logic, stripping away all pretense for her. "I love you, Viola. I can't stop being in love with you. Not the memory, not the idea. I love the girl you used to be and you are right now, the one with innocent eyes and a decent mind, the one chasing her dreams in the foreign land, the one heartbroken in my arms, the one who deserves certainty. And now, I want to be your certainty, to stay with you." Viola's tears finally spilled over. All her confusion, all her doubts, were resolved in Elias's honest, emotional confession. She felt the deep selfless, yet utterly true love that Elias had carried for so long. She tightly hugged him. "Don't ever leave me again, Elias." Viola's voice was hoarse with tears, filled with love and reliance. "Never, my love. I promise." Elias held her tightly, his voice firm and absolute. The sound of the waves enclosed them as Viola and Elias clung to each other, making up for all the lost time. Their embrace was fierce, yet filled with a quiet, enduring power. Elias met Viola's lips with a tender certainty, a kiss that carried the weight of years apart and overwhelming delight at their reunion. His hand tenderly stroked her hair, then slid down to her waist, pulling her deeper into his embrace until every hesitation dissolved. Viola wrapped her arms around his neck, surrendering completely. All her defenses melted. All that remained was warmth, breath, and the unmistakable scent of him. Their embrace deepened until words lost their meaning. The salt of the sea mixed with the sweet tension of the moment. Their kiss intensified, carrying them from the shore to the villa room, their hearts beating in unison, each step driven by unspoken desire. Fear, distance, and pride dissolved, replaced by trust and a yearning for complete union. In the dim light, Viola felt the warmth of his skin, the heartbeat that had waited for her across oceans and years. Elias cupped her face, his gaze softened, full of a love that reached her very core. "Viola, my love," he whispered, his voice husky and sincere. "I want this to be a perfect moment for you. Are you sure?" She answered him with a sweet kiss, her eyes steady. "Yes, Elias. More than anything." With her words, his restraint broke. He gently removed her last piece of lingerie, kissed her with reverent urgency, his hands tracing the lines of memory across her skin. Each touch was an apology, a promise, and a rediscovery. His lips traveled lower, his love evident in every movement. It was not hunger, but devotion. Viola trembled beneath him, her breath catching, her heart soaring. When they finally came together, it was the echo of two souls finding their lost rhythm, a fusion far deeper than mere possession. Elias moved slowly. "Tell me," Elias breathed, his forehead pressed to hers, "what do you want?" Viola clung to him, pulling him closer. "Don't stop, my love," she whispered fiercely. "I want nothing but you." Her fingers tangled in his hair, feeling the exquisite joy of her soul finding its home. Their rhythm built naturally, deepening with every breath, every heartbeat. All the waiting, all the pain, all the years of unspoken affection found their release. She moaned in satisfaction, as their love deepened. Their rhythm quickened, moving beyond careful exploration into perfect synchronicity, fueled by years of pent-up longing. Her body and soul opened completely to him, seeing only his reflection in her eyes. As their bodies crested, Viola let out a long shattering sigh, her hands gripping Elias's back, her body taut. Elias felt the sensitive depth of her body tighten around him, trembling as if the world had stopped in her. He answered her shudder with a final consuming surge of love. All his patience, all his longing, erupted in that instant. "Viola," he cried, her name breaking from his chest like a vow. In that moment, they transcended all time zones, all spaces, all memories. Their souls achieved perfect alignment. They held each other tightly, feeling the warmth and the pounding of their hearts, the sweet tremors lingering through long, beautiful seconds, with the echo of their union. Elias lifted his head, kissed her damp forehead and soft lips, and pulled her gently into his arms. They lay together beneath the duvet, their breathing slowly calming, the warmth between them like the tide, endless, steady, and profoundly alive. "Feel good. My sweetie, are you warm enough?" Elias whispered, his voice still hoarse and satisfied. "I feel perfect, Elias." "More than perfect," Viola murmured contentedly, rubbing her face against his chest, her arm wrapped around his broad shoulders. She had finally experienced the perfect moment she had always imagined. And the handsome, captivating face in her fantasy was always and finally his. "It's worth the wait. Every single moment of it. I dreamed of these moments for so long, Viola, with you. I love you." They held each other tightly, listening to the steady beat of their hearts, feeling an unprecedented fervent happiness. The air was thick with the scent of love and satisfaction. Viola gently lifted her head, tracing Elias's firm jawline with her finger, a sweet smile in her eyes. "So, Mr. Meyer, I don't leave a trace of attachment. Who is Nicole?" Viola teased, a hint of genuine curiosity in her voice. Elias's body stiffened slightly, and then he laughed with resignation. He knew this day would come. He held her close. "Nicole? Well, she's my lab assistant, research fellow. She's brilliant and ambitious. She doesn't mean anything to me, or to us. But she means a lot to David. Do you remember David?" Viola gasped. "David? Our David? The one from the sailing camp? Wow, it seems I missed a lot of parts of your experience." Elias lightly kissed the top of her head, his voice filled with tenderness. "Yes. But it seems we experienced all of them together. Because you are always here in my heart always." They kissed deeply again, all doubts finally vanished, leaving only the sweetness of love and an eternal promise. The night was long and tender. Outside the large French windows, the waves struck the shore like a distant applause. The next day, Elias's lawyers submitted a trove of evidence to the court. It proved that the self-destruct had been a defensive mechanism, triggered by external interference, the same interference the retrofitting company had knowingly risked despite Asan's warnings. It was not an act of evidence tampering. The team's commitment to open-sourcing the core safety technology completely nullified the charge of endangering public safety. During the hearing, Elias was exonerated and released. From the back of the courtroom, Viola watched in silence, tears of joy streaming down her face as the judge delivered the verdict. He was born for this mission, she thought, pride softening her smile. Now my part is done. Quietly, she slipped away. At the post-trial press conference, Elias and André were surrounded by reporters. The headlines shifted overnight. The Mars mission was no longer just a scientific triumph. It became a story about truth, redemption, and the ethics of creation itself. They cared about the future of safety in an AI-driven world. Elias and André made a bold announcement: the creation of a global open-source consortium, sharing the core security module code with the world. The decision vindicated Elias, elevated SAN's moral standing, and won thunderous applause from the global scientific community. The Castile family, humbled by the unveiled truth and SAN's moral stance, withdrew their civil lawsuit and launched a full internal review to rebuild their security standards. The technical lockdown on MD-Sand was finally lifted, but the relief was fleeting. The Mars rover had only 48 hours of maneuvering fuel left to collect its critical rock sample and begin its return trajectory. Elias rushed straight to the lab. On the drive, he sent Viola a single text. "The best news. Thank you, my love. Mars rover mission emergency, 48 hours. Wait for me at the villa." With the help of David and their team, Elias worked through 48 relentless hours, deploying security patches, recalibrating remote codes, and performing a risky fuel swap. At the final, nerve-wracking minute, the rover completed its sampling and entered its programmed return orbit. Mars's deepest secrets were secured, and would return to Earth in 6 months. Exhausted yet exhilarated, Elias raced back to the villa to share the victory. His uncle met him at the door. "She's gone, Elias." Viola had left a note. "Dear Elias, the freedom of love should also give you the freedom to chase your passionate mission. Altair and Vega will keep our path aligned. Until we meet again. Yours V." Elias stared at the words, his heart sinking. He couldn't let go. He called her immediately. Viola was already back in her apartment in St. Gallen. She told him how happy she was to have done something meaningful for him, and how their night on Santa Catalina Island would remain the most unforgettable of her life. She reaffirmed her love, yet stood firm in her path. She would finish her MBA thesis, wrap up her work with the jeweler, and return to Bremen to start her own studio and brand. With her own career, she would have choices, perhaps to join him one day, or to wait for him somewhere else. "I won't give up on you, and I won't ask you to sacrifice your future. We will reunite," Elias insisted over the phone. "How could I let Viola wait alone again? I have to find a solution." He didn't sleep that night. Home. The thought struck him with the force of revelation. Their technological advantage and mission imperatives were just as vital in Europe. His US lab was stable. Why not establish their European headquarters in Bremen? It was the perfect strategic base, 200 years of aerospace history, proximity to European space projects, a deep network of potential clients, and a promising AI market. He scheduled an immediate, in-depth strategic meeting with Andrei. "The US lab is stable and running well. David is now fully capable of leading the technology division on his own. Uncle, I know things are good here, but the European market, especially Bremen, is our next frontier. Aerospace and autonomous decision-making are still blue oceans we can capture while our reputation is at its peak," Elias said, his voice alive with conviction. "It's not just business, Uncle. It's where this dream began, and where it needs to grow." Andrei smiled, the weight of years softening into quiet pride. "Then go, Elias. Build both your future and your love." "Thank you, Andrei. I love you. Thank you for supporting me every step of the way." Elias hugged Andrei tightly, feeling a new chapter beginning for him. With their US R&D Institute organized and delegated, Elias began the immense project of moving home. He flew back and forth repeatedly, arranging the new company's setup, securing office space, negotiating partnerships, and assembling a new technical team. His passion and efficiency were unprecedented. He called his parents, who were ecstatic that their house in Bremen would finally see new life. They blessed his decision to chase both his ideals and his love. Throughout the intense period, Elias kept his promise to Viola, no radio silence. He messaged and called daily, sharing his thoughts and his longing, but he kept his magnificent plan a secret. When the last task on his return home checklist was finally crossed out, He breathed a deep sigh of relief. Saying farewell to his beloved uncle and colleagues in the US, carrying his luggage and years of memories, he boarded the plane. His heart was pounding. This was a new possibility, forged for their shared future and his beloved career. When he stepped through the old front door, sunlight spilled across the familiar piano. Dust motes danced in the air like tiny memories. It was as if his teenage self and Viola were still sitting there. He ran a hand along the keys, the sound of home. He immediately called Viola. She had just finished her debate for her MBA degree, and was due to fly to Bremen the next week. Elias, adrenaline surging, asked for her flight number, bolted out the door, and raced to the shopping center. He had to finish his grand-scale grocery run before she arrived.